All right, man, peace. So, brothers, as most of you know, I have a series called Kobe Bryant Still Lying to His Fans. And as of right now, we're up to like volume 5 or 6. Who the hell knows? This dude tells so many damn lies. The last time that we heard from him, he was spinning another yarn about how had Shaquille O'Neal had his work ethic, they could have had 12 championships. I stated unequivocally that that's a damn lie because, as we all know, Kobe Bryant could not stand playing with Shaquille O'Neal because he wanted to create his own legacy, and that's understandable. What I don't like is this nonsense that you see from many Kobe Bryant fanboys where they try to re-engineer Kobe Bryant's career or reverse engineer his career by claiming that he was either as good as important as, or as influential, if not more influential, than Shaq was in the winning of the Lakers' first 3 championships, at least in that era of the early 2000s. It's simply balderdash and it's nonsense. The reason why Kobe Bryant wanted Shaq gone is because he knew that he was never going to get the credit that he wanted to get as an all-time great player playing alongside of Shaq, because he knew that Shaq was the more impactful player than him. He recently sat down with a couple of recently retired NBA players on their podcast, The Knuckleheads, and confessed. So, of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
First up, we're going to talk about Kobe Bryant, because he joined former NBA colleagues. That sounds so formal and nice, right? Darius Miles, Q Richardson on their Knuckleheads podcast, which, by the way, is a very fun listen.
Darius Miles and Q Richardson were a couple of members of a very talented LA Clippers team from the early 2000s that probably should have fared better than they did were it not for the terrible ownership under Donald Sterling.
Dropped today via the Players Tribune. Miles asked Kobe about his life without Shaq after he was traded in the summer of 2004. Take a listen to his response.
Here's the thing. When I was playing, I would get chastised a lot for being selfish.
Because you were?
You just got to fit into a team. It's about winning championships.
Yeah. Because you had no idea how to play within the framework of a team due to the fact that you went straight from high school to the pros. And I've stated this before, Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, as great as they were, they could have been even greater had they spent 2 to 3 years in a strong college program where they learned the importance of moving the basketball and playing without the ball. Now, Kobe Bryant has a very high IQ, not just basketball IQ, but overall IQ. So he could have been a tremendously more proficient player in the NBA had he went to college for a few years. But when you're as naturally talented / gifted as he was and LeBron James was, in high school, everything revolves around you. And when you jump straight from that high school atmosphere to the pros, that's a huge culture shock that it's very difficult for players of that caliber of talent to move beyond. It takes them a very long time to embrace a real system. That's why Kobe struggled in the triangle, no matter what he says, really up until 2007, when they got Pau Gasol, and he actually learned that everything did not always have to be about him. Same thing with LeBron. LeBron really only understood how to play in a real system when he was with the Miami Heat. So to make a long story short, yes, he was very selfish in his first, I would say, 10, 11 years on the LA Lakers, until he finally came to understand that in order for him to ascend to an even higher level of proficiency and greatness as a basketball player, he had to divest control and prominence to other players on the team to show what they could do.
Okay, well, I get it. I'm doing it. Right? Won 3 straight. Okay, I got it. Mm-hmm. But I also knew that when my career is over, they're going to chastise me for the same thing. Yeah. Saying, oh, well, you're only great because you played with Shaq.
I agree with that, bro. But then why did you come out 3 weeks ago and claim that you could have won 12 championships had Shaquille O'Neal had your commitment to physical fitness and conditioning? It's very clear that you always wanted him gone, and that's what I try to tell so many of his fanboys / fangirls when they harass me in the comment section. And there's nothing wrong with that. Kobe wanted Shaq gone. He knew that Shaq had a heavy shadow that was overcast around his entire career, and he was never going to get the credit that he wanted as a player until Shaq was gone. So he basically let the buses know it's either me or him, and that's why they got rid of Shaq. There's so many dudes that are still trying to spin this nonsensical yarn that Kobe Bryant is not the reason why Shaq was sent to Miami. I mean, give me a break.
Hold up. You can't have it both ways, bro. So it was important for me to and Shaq to go separate ways.
Yeah. I'm happy that you said that, sir.
Because I didn't want people to use that again. They still do, but it was important that I win championships without him.
People don't use your presence on the team with Shaq at the same time and winning 3 championships as a mark against you. They're just speaking the truth. Shaquille O'Neal was the better player on those first 3 championship teams. Get over it.
And you get a glimpse of what I could have done individually had I not played with him. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was a big driving factor. It was like,
So basically, Kobe, what you're trying to say is that you could have led the Lakers to 3 straight championships without Shaq and an adequate replacement, someone in the vein of a Pau Gasol on those early 2000s teams. No, I don't think so. You did not have the maturity to be able to give over a certain amount of shot attempts to other teammates in the early 2000s. You were too busy trying to have Michael Jordan-esque seasons where you could show people that you could do what Jordan did back in the late 80s. So you would not have been ready.
Don't get it up now. Like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. I'm playing with Shaq. And it's like, take Mike, put him with Wilt. Shaq was a force of nature.
Yes, in other words, he was greater than you. Not better than you. Of course, you have a non-pareil skill set, no doubt about that. But Shaq was greater than you. You know that. Everyone who watched basketball in that era knows that. In regards to the correlation that he makes between Michael and himself, the hypothetical analogy of what if Michael Jordan played with Wilt Chamberlain. Had Jordan been with Wilt, they would have been far more successful than you and Shaq, because Michael actually played in a college program, as did Wilt Chamberlain. They understood the importance of utilizing other members of the team. What happened with Jordan was that he was drafted onto a franchise filled with dysfunctional cokeheads. And he had so much of the offensive system placed upon him that it started to build bad habits within him. He started to only depend on himself because he realized that all of his teammates were nutty. And then when they started to draft very talented young players, it took him a while to trust them because they would come up short in important situations. And Jordan's one of those people that if you fail one time, he's not going back to you. That's the importance of Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson showed Michael Jordan, no one on the team is perfect, including you. So if Scottie Pippen misses a jump shot, if Horace Grant or John Paxson miss an assignment, it's not up to you to no longer give them the basketball or punish them on the floor in real time just because they made a mistake. You go back to them and build back up their confidence. But had Jordan been drafted straight to, say, the Philadelphia Warriors or San Francisco Warriors, whichever team Wilt Chamberlain was drafted to, you better believe they would have won 8-9 championships, no doubt about it.
Right, so you got to kind of take a backseat.
Yeah, I take a backseat.
First of all, shout out to Kobe for proper use of the word chastise twice. Very well done.
Very interesting that you would salute Kobe Bryant for using a word in its proper context. Similar to how they tell so-called black men that you're very articulate.
He says it's important to his legacy to win titles without Shaq. Is that BS or real talk, guys?
That was definitely real talk, no doubt about it.
Look at that.
100%. And like he says he still gets criticized, but it's true. And even he said he had to take a backseat to Shaq. Shaq was the best player on those 3 championship teams. On Kobe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Richard Jefferson. That's why, once again, I always state that you're the best gay basketball analyst on television. Allegedly gay. Allegedly.
And the second best player in the world. But he was. That's why Shaq has 3 finals MVP. That's why.
Thank you, sir.
Nothing we could do against Shaq when I played against them in the NBA Finals.
Thank you. Everyone knew that Shaquille O'Neal was the force of nature on the Lakers. What Kobe Bryant was a hyper-talented second-best player on that squad.
So he needed to part ways so he could prove to himself and everybody else, because that's what Kobe's about. But ultimately, it is true. He only has 2 finals MVPs, and Shaq has 3 because Shaq was the most dominant force on those teams.
Thank you, sir. And that's also why I have Shaquille O'Neal above Kobe Bryant on my all-time basketball player rankings.
Perhaps player ever in that stretch of run. Now, you take away the hypothetical by the...
Now, this person, Dave McMenamin, just asserted that Shaquille O'Neal arguably could have been considered the best player ever during that stretch. And without a doubt, he's the most dominant player that I've ever seen, physically dominant force that I've ever seen from 1999 to about 2002, 2003, that area. No doubt about it.
The fact that he played with Pau Gasol and won the championships. You could say that when they won their three-peat, if he had let's say, Dikembe instead of Shaq, the Lakers still would have won 3 championships. And
no way. If you replace Shaquille O'Neal with Dikembe Mutombo, there's no way in the world that they win championships.
Been considered the best player on those teams, but it didn't happen that way. So he needed to create the destiny that he wanted for himself, and that was winning the 2 without Shaq.
And we can't just talk about like Kobe. Like Kobe just took a random team. He had one of the biggest teams of all time in Andrew Bynum. He had Lamar Odom at the 1 through 5.
Oh my goodness, Richard Jefferson is preaching right now. I've been saying this for the longest time. This notion that Kobe Bryant played on a talentless roster and just dragged them to the finals in the late 2000s. I vividly remember the LA Lakers team being called the team with the best front court in the NBA with Lamar Odom, Andrew Bynum, and Pau Gasol. For some reason, people forget that, though.
And they had Pau Gasol, so they had a great team. So Kobe Bryant was the man, and he deserved to get all the accolades that come with being the man. But ultimately, we know that Shaq was the main driving force of those first 3 championships.
Thank you, Richard.
Of these comments sort of put the Kevin Durant move to Brooklyn, sort of just sharpen that a little bit too. And there are people saying, how could he walk away from a team that had been to these many straight finals, that he had won 2 rings with, where he had 2 finals MVPs? Why would you ever walk away with that? Do Kobe's comments kind of lend some credence to what KD did?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if there's a correlation there. I kind of understand the connection that you're trying to create. The difference is, of course, that Kobe Bryant was drafted onto the Lakers. Kevin Durant actually came to Golden State, so it's far different than the Kobe Bryant situation. He didn't have a choice but to play alongside Shaq. KD knew what he was getting himself into. So for him to decide that he's going to extricate himself from the Warriors and basically latch onto the media narrative that he would never get the credit, as opposed to understanding that he should find some contentment in his decision, that's vastly different from what Kobe Bryant is stating.
I've taken criticism personally, saying these exact same things that Kobe is saying right now. Like, hey, look, like Kobe was great, one of the great all time, but you can't say 5 championships to LeBron's 3. LeBron's never been the second best player on his team ever in his career.
I agree with you, sir. When I make these videos about who's better, LeBron or Kobe, that's the point that I make. Kobe Bryant was not the best player on all 5 of those championship teams. I don't know what to say about that. People get upset. It is what it is.
Not even close. D-Wade was probably the best teammate he's probably had. So I think Kevin Durant making that move is like, yo, I need to go prove. Now, again, Kevin Durant is not showing up there with nothing. He's got you know, Kyrie, he's got DeAndre, he's got a bunch of other players, but there's a different level of winning that championship there, same with Bron in Cleveland, than it would what he did in Golden State.
When you guys had the scouting report in the finals, how much was it Shaq and how much was it Kobe?
It was, okay, guys, strap it on. Anything with
Pause.
Shaq, just figure it out. And our only hope was that Kobe kind of went a little selfish, Kobe.
Thank you, sir. Hey, I have to give Richard Jefferson a lot of credit right here, because he's giving you some inside understanding, some locker room understanding on how players truly feel about Kobe Bryant. So many of Kobe's fans, they say, well, you know, these NBA players pick Kobe over LeBron, and a lot of these dudes, they say things on television because they have a personal issue with a certain player, whether it's Kobe or LeBron James. But it's very clear when Richard Jefferson said what he's saying right here, that he's providing some accurate context. How do you know that? Because he's giving you some insight into coach speak and player speak. And everybody knew this already. That's how you destroyed the Lakers. You try to get Kobe Bryant into that wannabe Michael Jordan phase where he's just pulling up even though other teammates are wide open, and he's missing Shaquille O'Neal when he's supposed to be getting him involved in the offense early. Hopefully, if you can trick Kobe into thinking that he should be the alpha in a pivotal moment, that might instigate some bickering amongst the team, maybe even Phil Jackson going back and forth with Kobe Bryant. That's how you beat them. That's how the Detroit Pistons were able to almost sweep the Lakers in 2004.
About the ball too much, kind of like what he did in the Detroit series, where he just did a little too much, and that was...
Thank you, sir.
The hope is that Kobe tried to fight for that finals MVP and did too much and didn't throw the ball to Shaq. But that didn't really work out. But that was our only hope, is that Kobe kind of sabotaged it trying to win the MVP.
Oh, my goodness. Richard Jefferson, watch out, man. You're going to have a lot of angry-ass Kobe Bryant fans in your social media.
and it wasn't the case.
Do you think selfish Kobe is what you said? Do you think Nike made like a selfish Kobe puppet in addition to the other Kobe puppet thing?
Well, there's a lot. Like even
Rachel Nichols, is that the best rebuttal that you could come up with to respond to some of the bombs that he's dropping right here? I mean, come on.
That he was trying to fit into the team, and he was like he was, trying to considered selfish. But that was our only hope. If they gave the ball to Shaq 25 times, 30 times, there was no hope. There was no hope, Chris.
All right, let's move.
That's how we know who the better player was. But anyway, thank you, Kobe Bryant, for every once in a while speaking the unadulterated truth. You know what the truth is. And as I always state, I like Kobe. It's just that he lies too damn much about shit that he don't need to lie about. Eventually, like all lies, you forget them, and then you speak the truth and you basically contradict yourself. So peace.